Accelerating your fandom, this is Flash TV Talk.
Visual playback.
So Tom Cavanagh, who plays the character of Harrison Wells, now several episodes back, I actually speculated that perhaps that character will end up being somebody that, it's an unknown character, it's a new character, but my thought was that perhaps that is going to end up being, Jay Garrick, specifically is what I was thinking. But I want to go to something very specifically that he said. He said, we don't know what the question was that he was asked, but I think what we can assume is that he was asked, what is your character like, or what can we expect from your character? And he said, how about intrigue and deceit? Devilishly intriguing. I have been told don't say too much because people are really knowledgeable on the DC universe. So a couple things with that. First of all, I think if nothing else, this confirms my belief that Harrison Wells is actually going to end up being somebody else, because that character doesn't exist in the DC universe, so why would he be told not to talk to people because of people's knowledge of the DC universe?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. It's the whole, Star Trek Into Darkness, John Harrison versus Khan. And it's like, okay, well, who's John Harrison? We all know who Khan is, but they didn't want to call him that because they wanted to be a surprise. It seems like it's the same kind of thing here. But who could it be? Who are they thinking that Tom Cavanagh could be playing?
Well, and that's the thing, man. Okay, so it's a role that we haven't necessarily seen before. It's being kind of this mentor figure to Barry specifically, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the concept basically there, but some people have pointed out that Harrison Wells, if he was to have, say, a middle name of George, that would make his name H.G. Wells.
Oh, interesting.
And what does that make you think of, Beall?
Well, it makes me think of the very famous and popular science fiction author who wrote books such as The Time Machine, The Invisible Man and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, time machine, time travel. Now, Beall, I know you're not a big Flash nerd or anything like that, but
I'm working on it.
I know you're working on it. That's kind of part of what we're doing here, right? We're trying to educate you publicly and having the Flash fan community hold you accountable at large. It's no pressure there whatsoever.
Right.
But so we've talked before about Professor Zoom and or also known as the Reverse Flash, especially when we did our Flashpoint Paradox and looking at how that character, has impacted time before in various storylines, specifically that one, but also how he is not necessarily of this time. In fact, his name, and the reason why it's so really, really difficult to pronounce is because it's not of this century. And so I am actually wondering, you ready for this?
Do it. Lay it on me. All
right. I am actually speculating that Harrison Wells may end up being Eobard Thawne.
Wait a second, though. Okay. So actually Eobard.
Yes.
Because isn't Rick Cosnett? He's another Thawne, right?
All right. So he is another Thawne. He's playing Eddie Thawne, right? And so everybody kind of assumes that he is going to become the Reverse Flash. I was assuming that he's going to become the Reverse Flash. However, consider this. Consider that. All right. There's a couple of different ways they could play this, right? Either Harrison Wells is actually Thawne from the future who has come back in time to his younger self. All right? Following me with this?
Wait. So Eddie comes back in time.
Okay, so all right, so not Back to the Future rules. The idea where, if you see yourself, then the entire space-time continuum is supposed to explode, but in actuality you just faint.
Yeah.
It's not that. You can actually exist in the same timeline as yourself in this theory. So,
but it's not Time Cop rules, though, because Time Cop rules, if you touch yourself from another time, you turn into a massive pink goo and disappear.
Right, not that either. So one theory is that it could be Thawne from the future. I don't know that I'm fully sold on. However, I do wonder if maybe Harrison Wells is actually a Thawne of the future who is actually Eddie Thawne's descendant, which would make sense because the Barrys and the Thawnes, very much like the Starks and the Lannisters of Game of Thrones, to kind of put it in terms that you understand, Beall.
The Hatfields and McCoys.
Yeah, okay, there you go. They have this kind of family feud that starts in the present. Well, it technically starts in the future, but for all intents and purposes starts today and will go for generations down their line. So
it started in the future, but then they brought it back to the past, and now it starts in the past, it goes to the future.
Exactly. That's exactly correct.
Okay, interesting.
Yes. So that's my crazy theory. I just honestly, I think that the H.G. Wells possibility being his name is kind of a nice nod and makes some sense there. I think that based on the kind of deceitful, intriguing, devilishly intriguing, I think that makes some sense. And I do think if you look at what Arrow did with the character of the Dark Archer, who's Malcolm Merlyn, we were all led to believe that Oliver's best friend would ultimately end up becoming the Dark Archer, when you find out that later on, spoilers for those of you who have not watched Arrow Season 1, it's actually his dad who becomes the Dark Archer. So I'm wondering if, this is kind of another one of those bait and switch type moments.
Yeah, when he was saying that, when I was watching the video, because I kind of had an idea that the wheelchair is all for show. It's just there to take suspicion off of him. But when he was talking about, deceitful and cunning and things like that, I was like, that just doesn't seem like Jay Garrick to me.
Exactly, right? Exactly.
And so I was like, who else could it be? But I guess that makes sense what you're saying.
Well, okay, but what if I would actually say, what if the wheelchair is not for show? What if he basically messed up his legs running back in time?
Ooh.
Yeah, right? It's a cosmic wheelchair.
It's like the cosmic treadmill.
Exactly.
Wheelchair. Does he have like a cosmic wheelchair ramp that he goes into his cosmic handicap van? I don't know.
Oh, man. But anyway, that's kind of my crazy thought.
Full episode available at podastery.com.